where President Donald Trump has claimed the situation with Iran is in flux because he has sent a big armada to the region, but thinks Tehran generally wants to cut a deal. In fact, to quote the US president, he has said, "We have a big armada next to Iran, bigger than Venezuela." He's also underlined that Tehran must yield to him. Meanwhile, Iran remains defiant because gigantic posters have now propped up in the capital Tehran depicting US jets being destroyed. Why exactly is this so significant? You see, Trump came close to ordering a strike on the regime targets in Iran earlier this month over the killing of thousands of protesters. Instead, he delayed that decision while also moving military assets to the region. So the White House officials are saying an attack is still on the table, though the protests have largely been suppressed in comparison to what we saw earlier this month and towards the waning end of December. Arjun tracking the latest for us, but first listen in to Donald Trump's latest reaction.
There's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
All right, Arjun's with us live from the newsroom for further clarity. Arjun, we're given to understand through reports, especially in local media in the US, that the US military is bracing for an order from Donald Trump. In fact, in addition to the Lincoln, we are given to understand the US military has sent more F-15, also F-35 fighter jets, more refueling tankers and additional air defense systems to the region. What's really going on? What can one expect at this stage?
Well, that's absolutely right. Now, Donald Trump, while he was making this war rhetoric, escalating this war rhetoric rather, this was leading up to his first, in fact, primary speech in Iowa. Now, Trump has reiterated his claim that a large armada is in fact headed towards Iran, and that claim has some backing here because we've seen the USS Abraham Lincoln has now entered the area of responsibility with the US Central Command in the region. Now that marks a much more aggressive posture from the US. But meanwhile, Iran also does not seem to be backing down. Now a gigantic poster has in fact sprung up in the Revolutionary Square, nowhere else in capital Tehran, warning the US and in fact mocking its Central Command. The poster reads, "If you sow the wind, you will mess with the whirlwind." Not only this, now Iran is also warning other Gulf nations that if their territory is being used in the future for mounting an attack on Tehran, they will also be considered hostile states. And a fallout of this is Saudi Arabia, we're getting to here, has become the latest Gulf nation after the likes of UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, of course, as we've seen in the last week alone, to deny their territory or to refuse their territory altogether to mount an attack on Iran. But for now, we can tell you that on one side, while the USS Armada, as Trump mentions, is in its area of responsibility with heightened awareness, Tehran also, on the other hand, is not willing to back down. Back to you.
Arjun, we'll continue to track all the latest developments with you. Thanks so much. In fact, we are also picking up from Trump's circle, his inner circle, that many within that circle are questioning what bombing Tehran would actually achieve and are more intrigued by the idea of using the regime's weakness to push for a solid deal. We'll continue to track the latest as far as that's concerned. For now, let's turn our attention to breaking news coming in on home ground.